You are the commander of the battle group in this NATO military base. What are your tasks and how the rule of engagement changed after the NATO summit in Madrid?
The eFP Battle Group Lithuania is deployed now here in Rukla for more than 5.5 years. So the task is from the very beginning two-folded. First of all, we support Lithuania in providing a credible and robust deterrence against any aggressor, and that is quite clear now, Russia. And the second task is, if it comes to the worst and if it is necessary, to defend together with the Lithuanians, but also other NATO forces, Lithuanian soil, NATO soil, in the whole territory, especially here in the Baltics. And after the war has started at the 24th of February, actually and basically nothing has changed. We have our main focus on a robust presence here in the country, and we show that we are ready and capable doing a lot of training and exercise events, and that is what we are doing on a 24 hours, 7 days a week basis.
According to the last official declaration by NATO, Russia is identified as the main threat for Europe and NATO. What does it mean in your day-to-day activities?
Yeah, clearly Russia is now the country we are focusing on. And especially if you look at the Lithuanians, the Lithuanians always say, if we don't stop Russia in the Ukraine, we are probably the next. So what we are doing is we prepare ourselves, as we always do as soldiers and as military, and we have good plans in stock for some engagement of the enemy, for example in the Suwalki Gap. And so we prepare ourselves in training and exercise events with a special focus on defensive operations to be ready if it comes to the worst.
How many soldiers are here in this base and of which nationalities?
Yeah, we are in total 6 countries here in eFP Battle Group Lithuania. The lead nation is Germany. We have also contingents from the Netherlands, from Norway, from the Czech Republic, Belgium and Luxembourg. We are in total around 1,600 soldiers. Germany as lead nation is providing more than 1,000 of them. And that's the setup more or less. It depends a little bit during handover-takeover phases or from rotation to rotation. But you can see, as a rule of thumb, 1,600 soldiers.
How does the rotation of the troops work?
The rotation, as you might know, the rotation is always for half a year. So after half a year we start bringing in new personnel and new equipment. And what we are doing, we plan and conduct that very carefully because there has to be no operational gap. So we have to be ready also during the handover-takeover phase. So the new material is coming in firstly, new personnel is coming in additionally, and then we move stepwise out with the older material and the older personnel. So we are more or less always ready to fulfill our mission here in the country.
Have you had any alarms since the outbreak of the war in Ukraine? And if so, more than in the past?
Yes, for sure. We had a lot of alerts, but I have to say that was always an exercise alert. So we have trained and exercised the alert procedures and the deployment procedures very often at the beginning of our rotation, and then due to a lot of training and exercise events also on a battle group level, it always starts with an alert exercise to train the procedures, because you have to move from the barracks where you live to this area here where the main equipment and heavy equipment is stationed, and then you drive and you go into the staging areas from where you start conducting and fulfilling your exercise or your mission in a real scenario.
There is much talk about the rapid response force. Are you implementing this new strategy?
Yeah, after the summit, NATO has decided to increase the forces in the eastern or at the eastern flank, and as you might know, Germany is willing and planning to increase the total number of soldiers in the Baltics, especially here in Lithuania. So we're taking over responsibility here in Lithuania with an additional brigade element. So this forward command element is planned to start being deployed from the end of August on, and then on a regular basis additional forces come in for training and exercise events, and if it comes to a deterrence or defense scenario where we need more forces, then we bring in on a permanent basis additional forces.
What kind of military exercise are needed to face the new threats?
Yeah, what we have to do as military is we have to prepare ourselves as good as we can, and that means, and if you look at the Ukrainian war, or the war in the Ukraine, you have to train and to exercise the full spectrum. That means with an imminent air threat, with indirect fire capabilities like artillery, and you have to adopt and to adjust your standard operational procedures in direction of the way like the enemy is conducting the operation and is acting into the war. So that is part of our exercises, so that we are prepared at the end as good as we can.
Before you mentioned the Suwalki corridor, is the weak side of Europe and NATO. What are you doing to be ready to face a concrete attack, a concrete threat?
Yeah, as you say, and that's completely right. The Suwalki Gap or the Suwalki Corridor is, as we say as military personnel, is key terrain. So what we have in stock already are proper plans. Additionally, these proper plans have to brought to life at the end with proper forces. So, and that is what we are doing right now. We increase the forces, and we are not alone. In Lithuania, we have the Lithuanian armed forces. In the Baltics, we have different battle groups and additional Latvian and Estonian forces. We have also the Polish colleagues in place, and NATO has additional forces, for example, the NATO response force or the new NATO force model for the eastern flank for rapid reinforcements if needed.
Okay, thank you.